And so some of the things I'm going to mention to you today on today's podcast edition will actually be geared towards educating you on how a guy thinks and what you can do to make him feel a certain way.
Yeah, I need a bag, bruh. Send it through quickly. I'm making his dog like I'm in the big leagues. Yeah, I told him I'ma hit it out of stands. I deserve another 100 bands. I deserve another 100 fans.
For those of you who are wives, to your husband, almost across the board, that if you were to raise your standard on this particular topic, I bet you would be very, very shocked at the response you would get from your husband. So that's my setup. I'm giving you insight on how you might effectively communicate with your man better. And it has to do with compliments. Compliments. I almost felt like your eye roll. When I said compliments, I could almost feel your eye roll and go, no, Keith, come on, buddy. What are you talking about? Keep it real, but let's get real. Okay. Let me explain to you what I'm talking about and what's going on. Okay? Here's the deal. We could say men are weak and they shouldn't need compliments and all of that, and you wouldn't be wrong. Ideologically, in theory, you're right. But just about every man loves to hear from his woman a compliment. Now, I believe the eye roll probably came from the section of the audience that might be saying, hey, Keith, dude, my dude is not a provocateur. So, bro, I got to level with you. It's hard to compliment him. I understand. I really do get that in a major way. And when Jesse and I first got back together, one of the exercises one of our coach had us go through was write down 10 positive things about your partner. And I think we both got stuck on number 2. and that was interesting. But let me kind of develop this thought and give you some practical advice on where you can easily switch the conversation in your head primarily, initially, and then through your patterns with your thing. Okay. Interesting story happened. I was talking about this with Jesse on our coaching call, and I said, men love compliments. And one of the guys in the group was talking about, hey, sometimes my wife doesn't hardly ever compliment me. And when she does, it's usually because it's forced. He's like, hey, I'm considering making this business decision, but I'm not sure if I can do it or not. And she's like, no, you should do it. You're the best at that. You're really, really good at that. So it was kind of like this last ditch, I've got faith in you kind of compliment. And which doesn't really feel like compliments at all. And why a man loves compliments, even though we quote shouldn't, why we do like them, is because we men speak overtly. We like telling it straight to each other. Hey, bro, your breath stinks. You need to go, here's some gum. Rather than a covert way of saying, hey, check out this new gum I've got. It's super tasty. Here, you want to try one? And then the person who would hear the second one would understand the inference, oh, I probably really need some gum. Whereas a guy would just be like, bro, your breath stinks, dude. Here's a gum. So it's a style of how we hear things. So words of affirmation or compliments are how that for some reason is how we're wired to feel loved. Most sons want to hear from their father, I love you, I'm proud of you. I love you and I'm proud of you. I love you and I'm proud of you. And so it's a way we felt loved growing up. It's for some reason men's heart really thrives on that. It just is what it is. I wanted to set the groundwork that it is what it is. The same way that you like being communicated to in a certain way, and it just is, it's like acts of service, quality time. For some reason, women just love that. Acts of service don't mean a lot to me as a man, and so I don't really see it that way. I just be like, that's. But as a wise man, I would say, well, son of a bitch, if that's just the way it is, why argue that it shouldn't be that way? Rather embrace that it is that way and then lean into it. Okay. Now, I was talking to Jesse and I said, Jesse, when's the last time you complimented me? And Jesse is good at complimenting me. And she goes, well, I complimented you on your hair. I complimented you on picking up the girls because you drove way out of your way to get them. And I complimented you on some other thing that I did for her. Like I brought her something or made her something. I don't remember what it was now. But I said, you know what's interesting is actually only one of those 3 compliments was an actual compliment. See, 2 things get grouped into compliments. And one of them was my hair, because my hair did look amazing. I think I had my shirt off and she told me I looked good there too, which is also, there was 4. So 2 of them were on my great hair and my beloved abs, and the other 2 were based on acts of service that I had done for her. And I said, 2 of those were based on like my physical hair, my physical physique. The other 2 were just you saying thank you for something that I did. So the thank you for my act of service just feels normal. When somebody does something nice for you, they expect, not that you should do it for a thank you, but it's just common courtesy to say, oh, thank you so much for that. So that isn't a compliment that actually cuts very deep. It doesn't cut very deep. In fact, it doesn't cut at all. It just sounds like, yeah, that's a transaction. But when she goes, wow, I love how you did your hair, or damn, dude, my dick root's coming in. That's where that little sideline comes in where, you guys know what a dick root is. It comes in from your hip down. When I start getting leaner like I am right now, my dick root comes out. And she was saying, like, I like your dick root. I like your dick, and I like your dick root. I said, well, I'm glad you like them. A real compliment, though, for you ladies, is not just an appreciation for something done for you. That's reactive. That's reactive. But a compliment is meant to be proactive. Hey, I love when you do this. I love that you are this way. I love when you do these things. And then the second part of the compliment is because it makes me feel this way. So ladies, I'm going to just share with you. So those are the 2 different types of compliments. One is just thanking them for their service, okay, which they do not feel, which doesn't register as a compliment to them. The same way if a dad changed a diaper on a baby doesn't necessarily register as an act of service to you because it's like he's a dad, so, just fucking wipe the ass, right? That's the equivalent. The other one, and it's reactive. The other one is proactive, an actual compliment saying, hey, I really like this about you. More character-driven. Jesse loving how I did my hair and Jesse appreciating my hard work and my sexy-ass physique, that's cool. A step above that would be, I love that you put effort into your hair and into your body. It makes me feel like you value yourself and in some ways that you value me. Do you guys see the difference there? You see how much deeper that actually rocks and it cuts down? Because now you're saying, I appreciate this about you and how you show up in this way because it makes me feel this way. Why men also love this is this reason. It means that you are not resenting him at the moment. Pretty hard to give someone a compliment when you resent them. Have you noticed that? When you're pissed off at somebody, let's say somebody cuts you off in traffic, it could be a really nice car, and rather than go, wow, well, good for them. I'm glad they got a really kick-ass car. They must be providing a tremendous amount of value in this world. No, you're like, fuck you, right? You're not thinking about complimenting them right there because you're resentful that they cut you off. So resentfulness and being complimentary usually are not hand in hand. And so a man loves when there's no resentment, no walls between you, but there's free flow of communication. Men want intimacy too. Men want to feel connected to their women. Remember, men historically have started wars and have ruined kingdoms, theirs or maybe others, all because of one fucking thing, and that was they fell in love. Those are men feeling this. This is men we feel way deeper than you would understand. This is why it's that feeling of love and passion for a woman that men have started a lot of wars. All right. You say, Keith, what else you got for me? Okay. Glad you asked. When you make it a habit and a practice, and I'm going to say a skill, a habit, a practice, and a skill of complimenting your man, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to start to focus on positive things. I understand there might be 7 negative things that he does that drives you fucking crazy. But if there's 3 positive things, and you look for those, I'm curious as to how your personality might alter or shift. But this doesn't just apply to your husband. This applies to anybody and anywhere. Because if you become the person that is always talking about the 7 negative things and not the 3 positive things, then you're going to be perceived as a negative person. And people don't like being around negative people. And what's interesting is you being negative does not make your husband want to be any more positive to you. Really, a negative wife, negative nagging wife, that's more of an indication that you're too afraid to change the situation and you would rather just complain about the situation. That's more of an indication of you that you're acting like a victim rather than saying, I ain't settling for this bullshit. I ain't settling for this bullshit. Frame shift. If your standard is to be radically positive, you know what that's going to do for your life? Do you know how much that's going to change your life by being a positive-minded individual? Seeing the positive in things? That's only going to make you have a better life because you will get what you focus on. Do you see how, this also in a lot of essence has nothing to do with the husband either? It's about you. If you're going to complain about 7 things wrong about a guy all the time and never compliment the 3, then you're only going to be focused on the negative. And the interesting thing is, why would you stay in a relationship where all you see is negative, negative, negative? You complaining about the negative is not going to make the situation positive. You praising the positive and seeing if there's any growth in that regard is much more effective to trying to find out where you're really at in your situation so that you can know actually which way should I go with this. Because if this guy is just a 30% dude, do I want to be with a 30% dude the rest of my life? Fuck. Now that's a tough question. That's somebody who's willing to look in the mirror and say, shit, I'm settling for this. All right, let's continue this lesson along. Ladies, I hope you're enjoying this. I enjoy teaching ladies a lot of cool shit. We're going to do a live event out here with ladies. Me and Jesse. Be fucking a good time. All right. I know a lot of ladies, when you say compliments, the reason it also feels good for men is because usually there's a soft tone to them. There's a congratulatory tone. There is a, I honor you, I respect you, I appreciate you, I admire you, dare I say, I adore you tone to compliments that is directly opposite of nagging, school marm, talk down to, get in line, scornful tone that a lot of women do oftentimes speak speak at their husbands with. A supremely valuable man won't be spoken to that way, the same way a supremely valuable woman wouldn't want to be spoken to that way either. And so I would just ask yourself, would I talk to anybody else on the street this way? If you wouldn't, then you're obviously fake on the streets and you're who you really are at home, which is just another indication of you that your standard isn't very high. That you'd be fake and plastic on the streets seeking validation from strangers rather than working on who you really are at home, and facing those demons down in private and saying, you know what, I'm actually a dickhead because I'm acting like a dickhead to my husband because I've chosen to settle and not, there's a lot of things I could go over it, but we've got it. It takes a lot more to say, hey, I got to work through this emotion and figure out what this is. There's a lot of responsibility, and I say responsibility as more like an opportunity for you ladies to go, wait a second, like Jesse did. I had the most deepest respect and regard, and I will always have that for Jesse, based upon her standing up and saying, I'm not gonna fucking lose my life to this guy. I'm not gonna not stand up for who I am. I'm not gonna lose myself in this dude's life and not have him appreciate me. I will forever, I'll have more respect for her than I have for most, if not all men, because she was willing to give up all the material comforts that we had provided and said, I don't give a fuck. I'd rather be happy, fulfilled, and in love, and I won't settle for this bullshit that you're showing up to. So, ladies, I'm speaking from the heart to you because I don't want to see any of you guys settle, and I don't want to see any of you guys live your life in a negative way because you can choose to be positive. All right, I think we got one more point, and then we'll send you on your way with love and peace and grace in your hearts. I think the resistance for a lot of women for complimenting their man, the resistance is you think that you're going to give away your power. You're going to lose power. And actually, you're going to gain his trust. A lot of women do not compliment their man because they are afraid in doing so, they will lose power, when in actuality, you will actually gain his trust. Why? Because for somebody to truly compliment somebody else, say a nice thing about them, about who they are, their character, how they show up, and genuinely mean it, you have to be solid and comfortable in who you are. You're full. Yes, you love validation and praise just as much as the next person, but you know that in giving compliments, it doesn't drain from who you are in any way, shape, or form. So a full person is somebody who's happy to dole out a compliment because it doesn't take from you. It's like a candle lighting another candle. He doesn't lose, or she doesn't lose. That candle doesn't lose its flame by lighting another candle. No, it lights another candle. And that's what your compliments do to a man. They light his fucking soul on fire. They light it on fire, so give it to him. Now, again, you might be thinking, but Keith, my guy's not a provocateur like you, man. I know. Send them our shit and say, hey, you need to go listen to this or else we're going to have some problems here coming up. Or we got some problems right now and you need to go hire this guy to help you see things differently. But ultimately, I care about you ladies. I think you guys are fucking rad. I think you're rad. The reason why I dated and had sex with hundreds of women is not because of any other reason than I just think women are cool. I think you guys are cool. I like the way you smell. I like the way you think. I like just a woman in her femininity is the most beautiful thing. Personalities. There's so many things that make a woman really, really beautiful and attractive. And that's what I love about you guys. And unfortunately, I think our society has really stifled a lot of who you are and how awesome you are and has made you believe you have to show up in a way that is not really truly endearing. And being hypercritical and very sparse or scarce in your giving of a compliment of your husband, you're actually robbing yourself as well. For those of you for non-provocateur husbands, listen, ultimately, if he doesn't change, you're probably going to leave. But I think you would want to at least give it your best effort to know for a fact, hey, you know what? I know my side of the street's clean. I know that I did everything I could. I treated this man almost as if I knew I was going to divorce him and I wanted him to fall so head and heels in love back over with me that when I did serve him the divorce papers, he would actually be like shocked. And that would be the best way to hurt him. And I know that sounds vindictive as fuck, but I do happen to believe that if you showed up that way, by day 90, you probably wouldn't want to divorce him. But that might not be true either. So, at any rate, I know that if you set the standard for you, you'll know what to do, because setting a high standard for yourself and not letting anybody else in your life that's going to cause you to lower your standard or not rise to your standard, like in your significant other or your spouse, well, you just feel differently when you're the one with the higher standard. And this is how you can speak to your man's soul, through compliments. I don't know if this is the most exhaustive study on compliments. I don't know if this is the worst teaching on compliments, but it is my take on compliments. And if it has blessed you and you've loved it and you thought, I can use that. I can go find a compliment. I can go compliment my husband dearly, walk up to him and just say, I appreciate you showing up every day for us as a family and going out and working, killing the buffalo. I want you to know how much I appreciate that. A lot of women won't do that because he's already a workaholic. So you're thinking, that will encourage him to be that. Interestingly enough, it works the other way around. When you encourage him and praise him in the thing that he's doing, it makes him now want to come be around you more. Crazy, right? Fuck. If only we understood each other better. Well, I do understand this. If you keep crushing it, that shit is contagious. So I hope you do keep crushing it, because that shit is contagious. Send your man to marriedgame.com. Send this over to a sister who might need a little nudge to be a tad more complimentary. And with that, I love you.